reverse card on you. I just want to say that, I mean, I'm sure she's a lovely girl and everything, but I feel like I agree with what I heard AD saying to you on the clip that I saw from Community the other day, which is like, it feels like you're enduring a level of disrespect and abuse from this girl that I've never seen you take from a girl before. And it stands out to me as like it putting you in a dangerous position that I haven't really seen you allow yourself to be put into. And I don't know how much truth there is to it or whatever, but the shit that she said about, oh, I got handcuffed or like the door kicked in, whatever, all this kind of shit, that stood out to me as like, bro, this is dangerous. This is like actually, and I guess you have some kind of like connection with her because of the fucking the fact that you guys you almost had the home invasion with her and everything like that. But like I feel like she's kind of like crossed some lines that as a public figure, you're not supposed to let your girl cross. Like me and Lena, as much as we've fought privately or whatever, that stuff has never made it to the front page. Like we just never kind of make that content, or like tiny little bits of it have maybe snuck through. But I'm interested to know how you feel about that, because to me, this is not the academics that I'm used to. Usually I've seen you move in a very, very calculated way. And now it kind of feels like you're throwing caution to the wind. And I've seen some people propose this and it kind of makes sense to me, which is the idea of like, what does she have on him? Because maybe that's why you're dealing with some of the disrespect and her talking through the Dave Chappelle comedy special that I don't expect you to be doing normally.
Well, I mean, well, I'll start with the Dave Chappelle thing, then I'll go to the other comments you said. With the Dave Chappelle thing, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, clearly, I wanted to just grab the phone, but I'm gonna be honest. We're in public. I'm a black man. I'm not grabbing nothing from no woman. I don't want nobody to say I did nothing. You get what I mean? So it's like we live in this real pussy world right now, where it's like, yo, women do whatever they want. If there's consequences, they face it. You know what people told me that thing that happened in Miami? I remember even talking to Vlad, Suits of Vlad. And I was talking about what happened at Komodo. And a lot of people told me, they said, hey, listen, unfortunately, the only right thing you should have done, because people thought I was fighting at first. I was like, no, I was breaking up a fight that involved someone I was with. They said, listen, you're the famous one. Unfortunately, in that situation, you have to back the fuck up and let it be what it is. And I felt conflicted because I said, damn, you don't want to be the bitch who just let your chick just whatever. But now you're in the middle of it. It's now on TMZ. So that's another reason why, like, even when it came to Dave Chappelle shit, I'm like, listen, I'm not going to do a motherfucking thing that says, oh, Axe snatches the phone, he shouts. I'm not doing nothing. So I'm just chilling out. Regardless, though, back to the other comments, like, yeah, me and AD, we had a really good conversation about it. And salute to AD. I'm going to ask you about that in a little bit. But no, he was right in a lot of things, you know? I told him the same thing that I'm going to tell you. There is parts of it, and I'm a human. Like, you know, I've never been someone who, like, again, as maybe as stoic or whatever y'all see me in terms of like me doing content. I've always had interpersonal relationships, and especially with women. And in those relationships, you know, it is a give and take a little bit, right? So number one, and I told him this, I said, first of all, I feel that there's a little bit of trauma bonding, honestly. In a situation where my life was actually threatened, this person actually was very instrumental in making sure I was okay. That probably also gives me the, okay, yeah, she fucked up, but forgive. But also, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm somebody who's just not perfect. Like, I've been mad unfaithful. You get what I mean? And when most things kind of happen, even if it makes it to the public or not, it's because I'm the person, like, you know, obviously, I'm not waiting both to be the same, but I've cheated or I've done whatever. I've been with like 5, you know what I mean? Whatever the case is. So when cooler heads do prevail or whatever, it makes it more able where I'm like, you know what? All right, fuck it. I did bad. You did bad. Let's get back, or let's try, or let's not go to the extreme like that. It's clearly not healthy though. I'll be honest with you. And at times, you know, I guess the last thing I'll say about it, like most of the time, and I don't, you know, obviously I'm younger than you, but I don't know if you've ever been there because you're like emotionless. So it's like difficult to probably like reason with you when it comes to this, especially when you're with someone. Like when I met her, she was 22, she's 24 now. You're also hoping for that change. And every time there's a conversation, it's like, hey, listen, you know, I'm telling them like, yo, listen, we're in Miami, all these motherfuckers, if I even slip, they got a camera out. Like, she don't even know what that is until it happens. And she's like, what? We're on TMZ? So I'm dealing with someone who's kind of learning, and every time I'm expecting or assuming that they're gonna learn or they're gonna not repeat the same mistakes. And sometimes I ain't gonna lie, that's where it gets kind of, yo, you're making the same mistakes consistently. That becomes a problem, and that's why it leads to us having these conversations.
This is my thing: is that I think you have basically what I'm going to describe, for lack of a better term, but as like a ratchet fetish. And I discovered this because
I heard you say this on Vlad. I heard you say this on Vlad, nigga. Go ahead. You said this on Vlad. I know what you're about to say. Go ahead.
I mean, okay, there was a long time ago, we were on stream, and I never see people talk about that old stream. I bet there's some gems in there.
Yeah.
But that stream, you said that you would search up Chirac thotties,
yes,
or I don't know, like ghetto hoe or some shit on fucking Pornhub to find something to jerk off to, which I've never heard of anything like that before, which that really made me like, oh, fuck, like Akademiks, like the way that he feels about like a Lil Reese and a Lil J and etc.
Don't combine
and
the
like,
two.
you know, the fact that you were making all this content about these guys at a time where most of us were not really paying that much attention to the savagery of the Chirac scene or whatever, that carries through to your sex life to a certain extent. Because if we want to talk about who is the Lil Reese, the Grim Reaper of being a whore, shout out to Selena Powell. I know you didn't like date her per se or whatever, but there was like some kind of connection that you guys seem to have that kind of went beyond the Waka Flockas and the other dudes who like kind of put dick up in her real quick and then we're out of there. Do you admit and agree to the fact that there is some degree with which you need the danger and the excitement that only a hood rat can bring to the table? And I don't even know if she's a hood rat per se, but she's clearly kind of a live wire. So you never dated Asian doll?
Hell nah.
Nah, you would fuck with her. I think that would be
no. Okay. All right. And by the way, you see, when it comes to these topics, I definitely try to have a reasonable conversation. I think I'm also very self-aware. I would say no in how you're surmising it, but there is something to that, right? What I would probably say is that, like, I felt like if I thought about my dating history, right, I had very regular, non-turbulent relationships until I met Angelica. And I don't know what it is. And well, I've actually internalized, put it like this. I was a decent to probably good boyfriend until I got fame. I've cheated on every bitch since. like what I mean is like you don't even want to know the amounts. So I'm not struggling, but I've been putting, like, just being honest and being self-aware and also accountable. Sometimes I meet, like, I thought Angelica was a sweet girl at first, and then she gets cheated on like 80 times by like 80 bitches, and then she's finding out constantly. Then she's like, yo, I love you, I can't do anything, but I'm mad. Now she's like, I'm about to just break some shit. And you kind of...
Shout out to Lil Tracy.
Hold on. And you kind of... Okay, this nigga. Didn't happen, but anyway. But
oh, you didn't? I thought it did.
But at some point, you kind of then put yourself in this cycle, which is almost like a toxic cyclone type of way, in terms of you become complicit, and it becomes what you're also perpetuating as well, right? It's not that you're just a victim, right? Because that seems to be... There's a common theme with all the women I've dated, but there's also self-accountability too. Like, my nigga, if maybe you just keep your dick to one pussy, and when you say you're in a relationship, maybe they won't be going crazy. Because truth be told, that's usually what happens, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, Angelica first broke some shit when she thought that I fucked Selena. Then she broke some shit when she found like 18 sex tapes on my fucking computer. Like, they were just there. She was like, who are these bitches, right? Like, she just went crazy. So, again, and I remember even talking to her, and I hate to, I don't want people to hit her, and, she's on to her new situations. But she even told me, she was like, yeah, I kind of, like, it was just like, I blacked out. Like, I saw the guy who I love fucking, like, 20 bitches. Like, what the fuck you want me to do? So, again, I do think there's a part of me, like, you don't cheat on Lena, do you? I guarantee if you cheat on Lena, there'll be a lot of shit going on. But you don't need to cheat on her because you fucking bitches on camera, so it's good.
Yeah, and I also just like, I mean, me more than most people, I've learned how fucking messy it gets when you're, dealing with chicks, like when you're cheating or doing anything
Yeah.
scandalous with chicks. Like, you just can't trust them. I had a girl lie, like, a girl came from like basically like partied with me and Lena, and then we all went back and fucked, and then she ended up making up some shit and saying that she was like too loaded or whatever. She was totally fucking normal,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. I
she
remember
ended
that.
up lying about that shit. So even right there, that was like the biggest eye-opening experience ever, to be like, oh, you are a fucking idiot if you do any dumb shit at all at this point in your life. So I mean, that even having something like that happen, and like that, I could never think about just fucking some random girl the same
Hey,
after having an experience like that.
so I could say this, and hopefully this will answer all the questions with that, right? Because I think I've been pretty transparent about everything else.
Uh-huh.
So, but I will say this: I am at the point, right, where it's just like, you know, I think when I meet women now, and even my last situation, because of who I am, they now use social media and they use the fame as leverage. Okay, I can't get you to act like I want. I'm about to say something online. You're gonna have to deal with everybody talking about something, even if it's not true. So now it's almost like I'm becoming weary of this because like it's put me to answer unnecessary questions that either it ain't true or is really derogatory or some other shit. And then now it's like, at first I was having fun. Now it's like, yo, I don't think I'm having fun no more. You know what I mean? At first it was like, all right, maybe this is, but now it's like, you know what? Maybe I should just, I gotta put my little banner in the rafters. I did enough. Akademiks did his thing, and I'm about to be like Charlemagne. Charlemagne used to cheat on his wife all the time. I ain't trying to be like some Kobe shit, but like he used to say, maybe I finally become faithful or some shit. Maybe that'll help. I don't know.
I mean, see, that's the thing, is that your life will get so much better in so many ways once you get into a relationship. And because, like, I remember, the author Ryan Holiday, he had this conversation with me like right before I got into my relationship with Lena, where he basically told me like, get in a relationship, get serious, settle down, and have kids. It'll be the best thing that ever happens to you business wise. I'm thinking in my head, what the fuck are you talking about? If I'm having to balance my time with a relationship and kids, how the fuck is that going to make my business better? But I can honestly say that I think that that's happened. And if you even want to just talk about like a PR side of things, I think, look at what we see happen to rappers when they get into public relationships with high value females, especially if they can avoid the love and hip hop angle, which I think, especially with the whole Blueface thing, we've really kind of seen, or at least like been reminded of the fact that this is just like very rarely good for men. But your fan base would open up so much. Like I like the point that you made the other day, that your Instagram has 5 million subscriber or followers, and Shade Room has 25 million. It's like that black woman celebrity gossip category is fucking gigantic. Mm-hmm. And as a rapper, your entire music career history is fucking irrelevant until you start dating a famous black woman that they love, and then boom, you're in that conversation. The problem is that, I mean, you see it with DDG, is that like, you're gonna be the villain unless you are fucking Michael B. Jordan, or like one of these very few rare guys that gets to be in the good guy category. And I think he only gets to be in the good guy category because he's basically absent from all public appearances, and like you only get to see him when he's like on camera in a movie or whatever. But if you could insert yourself into that world, it just automatically makes you a million times bigger. Now, you're going to be the villain either way. And especially you being you, every single fucking bad thing that you ever said is just going to get recycled for content as soon as, like, if you dated Chloe Bailey, well, no offense to DDG, I don't want to like do that, but like, if you dated somebody like her, what happens in the next 12 months of your career? Because it's going to make you way bigger, way more talked about, but also probably maybe kind of hurts you in the long run, right?
Yeah, like something like that, right, will probably almost like neuter me from like the edginess that kind of has built my audience, even though it exposed me to this whole other audience. And like, for example, like I was even saying about Krishan Rock. Krishan Rock, which I don't know if people really agree with me, but right now Krishan Rock on a social media clout level is more lit than Blueface has ever been without a song. Right now, like she goes live, 100,000 people is watching her. Why? They want to just get the glimpse of her being motherly to a baby, which is such like a it's like such a random but just natural act. It's not even something that it requires skill. There's no jokes being told. There's no rapping being done. And then you kind of look at that. That's why I think Blueface is a little salty. I'd be salty too. I built you up, and now they just love you for being you. I need to do boxing, rap the best. I need to do all these great things just to get an ounce of the love that you're getting by just breathing, which is crazy.
Okay, if he makes Jaden Alexis as big as Krishan Rock, or even in that fucking area, doesn't that make him like one of the goats of this shit? Like he's puffy all of a sudden if he can fucking do that.
Nah, he Ray J. He Ray J. I mean, he's Ray J.
Yeah, but I mean, he's like an unbelievable legend if he actually makes her pop off. And I mean, it's I mean, she's just like a participant in this reality show that is his life, I guess. But I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, do you think he should have like been on the hunt for somebody maybe a little bit more explosive to turn into his next pet project?
Honestly, and this is why I kind of like I kind of came back to the side of liking Blueface and what he's doing. I think he's just doing natural shit. Like I don't think he's intentionally doing shit. He has a particular lifestyle, and he's just trying to put the business in accordance with whatever he likes to do. He likes fucking a bunch of bitches. Okay, let's make the business around that. He likes it. So I'm not mad at that, but yeah, just to wrap this up, and I do want to get to, let's get some media shit. I want to ask you about AD and all those guys as well. Okay. But yeah, but as far as my personal life goes, I'll agree with you. And I heard you say that. I didn't think it was hating at all. I actually thought it was a good point. And by the way, AD brought up a good point. You know, I am like these days, I am very weary, and it's almost like I'm kind of a little bit fed up with especially some of the things in terms of personal life going to public shit. And then it's just like, I hate when people start leveraging the fact that you are around me publicly. Like that's like, I don't know if you've ever been like that with people before, but anytime, okay, so for example, if you're living in my house or you're around me and you've seen me in either unflattering ways, or you've heard me say things that maybe I was probably trying to keep close to the chest, or if you've seen anything or whatever, or just that people know you're there, so anything you say, they'll believe. If you weaponize that, it's like, you know, I don't know, like, I think the last couple relationships I've been in, it was kind of like, all right, I'm tolerating it, kind of. Also, there's highs and lows. Now it's kind of getting like stale. I'm gonna be honest. It's like, all right, if this is gonna go down and I'm not getting a Zeus check, I need to cut this shit off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that you would almost be better off at this point just going full in that direction, because right now you're doing like well, but at the same time, I don't feel like people have really jumped on any of the shit with this girl. Like, I'm not seeing it in the media that crazy and shit.
And it's because I haven't acknowledged it.
They don't feel like they know her. If they felt like they really knew her, i.e. from you doing content or being on a Zeus show with her, then all of a sudden that would change, and that's when you'd really be fucked, brother.
Yeah, well, that's the difference. And also, I say to women around me, I'm like, listen, I have a 95% male audience. You're never going to get my male audience to be like, oh, they love you. Now, it's different. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, we love you now. No, it's different if, like, you know, when you're on a reality show and you get that female audience, and now they're like, fuck him. We're team you. That's completely different. But also, that makes me never want to do reality TV. You get what I mean? Because once you do that, you almost kind of create the beast that eventually tries to eat you. You know what I mean? That's what's happened to Blueface. So even now, I usually, like, I'll tell whoever around me, I'm like, okay, I get it. You just put up some bullshit that's not true, and cool. I might have to cuss two niggas out online, but we're just going to keep going on. And also, like, for the most part, like, some of those things, I realize it gains more legs when I address it.
But this is my thing, is that I have an irrational belief and willingness to like, I'm rooting for Blueface.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting on my Dejan Paul report card type shit, where like this dude Dejan, who does the rap report card,
I heard about
on No Jumper sometimes and stuff. He's like part of the news crew a couple of times a week. He cares about seeing LA rappers win to such an extent that I'm kind of not used to, because like, I'm from New Hampshire, lived in New York for 7 years, then I moved to LA, and it's like, I love New York rap. I love LA rap to a certain extent, but I never really was like rooting for a certain city to win. But when I look at Blueface, it's like we can't have YG be the only like fly gang member rapper representing the West Coast. Now, granted, YG does an amazing job of it, but when there's only one of them, it kind of makes it seem like too much of an anomaly.
Yeah.
And it's like we need Blueface to prove that you can like come up out of the trenches of LA and still be a fly ass adult male doing things. And I don't know, like in that regard, it's just like I want to see him win, and I want him to maybe like I don't know. I just don't know if the Jaden Alexis move is the move. Like I feel like if he can do that and
Yo,
it's convenient because she is his first baby mama.
Yo, Adam,
dope.
that shit
But I
ain't gonna
also
work.
feel like it would almost be easier for him to just start from scratch.
No, he's gonna get back with his baby mama. Like she has the cloud. She has the cloud, baby. He's gonna work. Hey, by the way, you preemptively jumped out the window